The Jenny Jones Show was one of the most popular daytime talk shows of all time. The controversial series garnered millions of viewers daily, with its wild and raunchy topics and the guests' very personal and toxic stories. Unfortunately, it would be at the center of a very fatal incident that occurred. Let's take a look back at the shocking story and find out what actually happened. A future guest on the show was Scott Amedure. He was a 32-year-old, former U.S. military veteran. Despite the rather intimidating armed forces background, many would say he was very light-hearted, always the life of the party, and the high point of most social gatherings he was a part of. He was also an openly gay man, and very proud to be himself, no matter who disagreed with his lifestyle. In the month of January of 1995, Scott drove across town to visit his older brother Wayne. Wayne lived in a small apartment complex nearby, and they would often share quality time at his home. When Scott arrived at the complex, after a few unanswered knocks on the apartment door, he would conclude Wayne wasn't there. But before leaving, Scott did meet Wayne's neighbor Donna Riley in the apartment complex parking area. She was outside working on her car, with assistance from a young man, 23-year-old Jonathon Schmitz. Jonathon lived on the first floor in the Michigan apartment building. He and Donna had become very friendly neighbors with one another, and close enough, where she would even give him rides home from work. Amedure, while initially engaging with Riley, shifted his focus toward Schmitz. He found him to be quite attractive as he worked on fixing the car. Scott, being Scott, even made a flirtatious comment to Riley about the young man, before going on his way. A few weeks later at a local bar, Scott and Donna would coincidentally cross paths once again. This random interaction would spark friendship between the two. As their bond grew over the following days and weeks, Scott began visiting her, instead of his older brother at the apartments. One night Riley invited both Schmitz and Amedure over for dinner. The trio watched movies for a few hours and shared some conversation and laughs. Everyone seemed to enjoy each other's company, with no issues arising. During the night, Scott's crush on Jonathon began to grow even more. When the fun was over and it was time to call it a night, Scott even left a friendship bracelet on Jonathon's car. Amedure was known to be a big fan of tabloid shows, spending many of his mornings indulging in the television chaos. Scott would often tune into the very popular Jenny Jones program to get his fix of scandals. While watching the latest episode, before a commercial break, a promotional plug caught Amedure's attention. The show was requesting viewers call in that had a secret crush. He quickly contacted the show, with Schmitz in mind. To his amazement, the producers of the show actually called him back later that day for more information. During the phone screening process, Amedure explained his story to the producers of the show. Donna's name was mentioned in his interview, and she was then contacted and interviewed as well. The two friends both agreed to appear on the show together and talk about the crush to Jones, and in front of her live audience. Shortly after, Schmitz was also given a call by the producers, and he too was invited to appear on the show, but given little details. He was only informed he had a secret crush, but Jonathon wasn't sure who it could be. Being somewhat aware of Amedure's interest in him, from the brief interactions they shared. Shortly after talking to the producers, he went upstairs and confronted Riley and Amedure about the call he received. He asked them if they knew anything about this secret crush situation. They proceeded to lie about their knowledge and potential involvement in the entire ordeal. The denial from the discussion led to Schmitz to believe the crush could have been either his ex-girlfriend or a young lady he worked with at his job. In early spring, it was finally time to tape the highly anticipated Jenny Jones episode.
Now, which of these ways would you choose to reveal your secret crush on someone? A, would you write that person a letter? B, would you tell the person in private in case he rejects you? Or C, would you tell that person that you're gay and you hope he is on national television? Let's have John.
Crush on him. Here's John.
crush on you?
Did I? No, we're good friends.
Well, guess what? It's Scott that has the crush on you.
You lied to me.
While the trio's secret crush segment was fairly brief, it did, however, lead to unforeseen events. After getting rejected on the show by Schmitz, the group would fly back to Michigan together. They had very little discussion about the segment and what had just transpired. With a few drinks in their system on the flight, the tension lessened, and they all began to loosen up a bit more. The group landed at the airport in Michigan later in the evening. Jonathon volunteered to drive Scott and Donna home in his car. The trio first drove to Scott's mobile home to drop him off before going home, but after talking for a few minutes about the show, the group decided to go to a local bar, instead of calling it a night so early. At the pub, things seemed to be going rather smoothly, with no issues. After having a few beers, management announced the establishment would be closing early due to bad weather. The group proceeded to head to Donna's apartment for more drinks and keep the fun going for a little while longer. Schmitz and Amedure continued to drink more and more, as if nothing out of the ordinary had transpired earlier in the day. The apartment gathering went on for hours, and it didn't conclude until close to dawn. Everything seemed fine between the two men, with all things considered. The next day, while visiting Riley, Scott decided to write a sexually suggestive note, and he placed it on Jonathon's front doorstep. While the note was supposedly an attempt at humor, it may have been a little too much for the 24-year-old Schmitz. In response to seeing the note, and assuming it was Scott who had written it, he drove to a local bank to withdraw some funds from his savings account. With the money he had withdrawn, Schmitz purchased a 12-gauge shotgun, along with a box of bullets. He soon after drove to Scott's home to confront him about the note. While unarmed, Jonathon knocked on the door of Amedure's mobile home. Scott answered completely unaware of the issue and invited him inside to talk. Jonathon proceeded to ask him if he did in fact write the note left on his doorstep. His question was met with a smile from the harmless Amedure. Schmitz then stated he needed to go outside to turn off his car. However, it was just an excuse to get the shotgun he had just purchased. With the loaded shotgun in hand, Jonathon entered the doorway of the mobile home and fired 2 fatal shots in the chest of Amedure. He then immediately left the residence and called the police to report his actions.
Emergency. Ma'am, I just figured this out, man.
Okay, why did you do that?
Schmitz was convicted on second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 to 50 years in prison. Amedure's family decided to sue the Jenny Jones Show for their alleged ambush tactics and their alleged negligence, which they believed led to Scott's violent death. The family won the lawsuit and was awarded $25 million in the case. But after an appeal, the ruling was overturned and the family got nothing. The court came to the conclusion that the show was not liable for Schmitz's subsequent actions, which they deemed unforeseeable. The Jenny Jones Show continued to air for several more years after the horrific incident. But as interest began to shift in the early 2000s, eventually the tabloid talk show started to decline in popularity, and the show was later cancelled in 2003. After serving 22 years in prison, Schmitz was granted parole in August of 2017. He has shied away from speaking about the incident or his time in prison.
Hey, how does it feel to be free?
Get away
How
from
does it
us.
feel to be free?
Get away
Don't
from
touch
us.
me, ma'am. How does it feel to be free, John?
What do you think about this story? Do you think Scott may have went too far with his advances? Do you agree the talk show was not liable? Leave a comment below and let me know.